Uthman on the road. He, as any Muslim, would say, Assalamu alaikum. And what benefit does this have? Well, the Prophet says, ﷺ, that you will never enter paradise until you believe. And you will never believe until you become strongly associated together and have this emotion and love among you. Shall I tell you, the Prophet says, shall I tell you something that if you do it, this love and strong attachment would increase among you? Spread Assalamu alaikum. Spread the word of peace among you. So, that is why whenever a Muslim meets another Muslim, he would say Assalamu alaikum, even if he does not know him, even if he does not relate to him. But they always put in the back of the minds, the minute I say Assalamu alaikum, I will be granted 20 good deeds. If I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, 30. If I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, it's 40. It's a lot of good deeds. Saad, by default, saw Uthman, said Assalamu alaikum. He's an immigrant like me from Mecca to Medina. He is one among the first to accept Islam like me. He's my brother. He's more important to me than my blood and flesh. Yet, Uthman stared at him and did not answer back. Saad was outraged in the sense that this was a form of insult. Now, usually, something like this happens to us, we would do something that we would regret later on. Not Saad. Not with his brother Uthman. Look at what Saad did. First of all, he thought well of his brother and tried to give him a proper excuse. Why is that? Because a lot of the problems we have nowadays are due to the fact that we do not give any form of excuse to our brothers and sisters. And that's why tension is built and a lot of problems and grudges take place. Saad ibn Abi Waqqas immediately went to Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, to complain and see maybe there is a reason behind Uthman neglecting him. And this is what we should do. Muslims should always seek an excuse for their brothers and sisters. Because you never know. Maybe he had an excuse that you do not know. Maybe he had a reason for something you did not like and he had to do this. What are such an excuses can be? This inshallah what we will know just after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How many times do we have problems between our loved ones, between us and our friends, that continue to escalate as a burning brush fire? The only way that we can have our hearts pure and clean to one another is through giving our loved ones and those who we have dispute with the benefit of the doubt. And this is exactly what Saad did. He went to Umar. He did not accuse Uthman immediately by saying, did you see what your brother did? He did this and that. He is ignorant. He is arrogant. I don't like him. I have to fight with him. Tell him I'm not going to speak with him after today. No. Saad went first to make sure that nothing in Islam has changed, in the sense that there was not an army of the Muslims defeated and there's no crisis that had struck a Muslim country, no famine, floodings, earthquakes, nothing. So he went to Umar. Anything happened in Islam? If anything did happen, Umar would have told him yes. But on the contrary, Umar said, no, not that I am aware of, nothing happened. Why? Then Saad justified that question by saying, this is what happened with Uthman. Now Umar, as you being our ruler and leader and imam, please help me solve this issue. Why did Uthman behave in such a manner. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, did not put a lid on it, as a lot of people do. And so many times, we hear people say that time is sufficient to make things go back normally. And this is wrong. Time is not sufficient. On the contrary, the more you ignore such a problem, the more fuel Satan will add to the fire. And the more assistance he will get from his soldiers, the devils, have them be from jinn or from humans. They will come and whisper in your ears. He did not ignore you because he doesn't like you. He doesn't respect you. He thinks badly of you. I heard him talk about you the other day. And this grows and grows, and the enmity and hatred gets more and more in your heart against that brother of yours. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, did not put a lid on it. On the contrary, he immediately brought Uthman to be present in front of him, so that they can solve and resolve this issue now and forever. And Umar did a very noble thing. He is trying to reconcile between two of his brothers. And the Prophet tells us, alayhi salatu wasalam, that among the best deeds available is to reconcile between the two. And among the worst deeds in Islam is when you divide and separate Muslims. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ tells us that a person who walks between two others, trying to divide them, separate them, and to throw enmity and hatred in their hearts against each other, will not enter paradise. The Prophet called him as Nammam or Qattat. He's worse than a backbiter because he tells things that are not true with the intention of throwing enmity and hatred in their hearts. Likewise, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that whoever goes to a woman and turn her against her husband is not among us. And you can imagine how many mothers going to their daughters and telling them, why are you tolerating your husband? Why don't you demand that he buys you new furniture, that he takes you places, that he buys you a house of your own and registers it in your name? So the poor husband comes back home and he finds that his wife has turned against him. She's nagging, she's making his life miserable. This mother is not following the Prophet ﷺ, is not considered to be among the followers of the Prophet ﷺ. So Umar was doing a great job, may Allah be pleased with him. He brought Uthman and asked him, Uthman, why did you do what you have done? He said, I didn't. Saad didn't say, Assalamu alaikum. Saad said, yes, I did. Uthman said, by Allah you didn't. He swore. And Saad swore, Wallahi I did. By Allah I did. And this tells us that if you swear on something and you think that it is right, then there's no sin on you. For example, somebody tells me, give me a pen. And I say, I don't have one. He said, yes you do. I said, Wallahi, by Allah, I don't have a pen. And seriously, I think that I do not have a pen, because when I remember that I left my pen at my house, but apparently I took it by mistake and put it without noticing. So I'm swearing on something that I entirely believe is true. Then there is nothing wrong in that. There's no burden, there's no sin in that, insha'Allah. Of course, a lot of the brothers and sisters think that kafara, expiation for swearing, is for the things that you've done in the past. If someone tells me, did you have lunch? I say, by Allah, I did not have lunch. And I'm lying. They say, you've lied, so you have to